This tweet looks like he's moving forward. Yeah, unbelievably, like, even though his debate performance was so bad that the question of him dropping out right before the convention is being fielded, they're still going ahead with him. Like, if the situation is so bad that people are actually talking about replacing you with somebody else, maybe you should take that question seriously. The level of entitlement is insane. I mean, I expect it, I guess, but it's like, Jesus Christ, dude. This is just from the Wall Street Journal alone. Joe Biden is a good man, a good president. He must bow out of the race. Biden cannot go on like this. I'm hearing high anxiety from Democrats over Biden's debate performance. After the debate, I don't think Joe Biden should be running. It's great, man. Everything's going great. That's New York Times. New York Times. I can barely see right now.
Let me close with this. I know I'm not a young man. State the obvious. Well, I know. Well, I don't. Folks, I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as
Oh, man. Even Matt Iglesias? All right, I will say it. However exactly you characterize the interaction between Biden's age and his stuttering, it is not a good combination for the job of presidential nominee and would be better to have someone else. Even Matt Iglesias? No way. That's like the final line, man. That's like the last wall. Oh my God. Even Morning Joe? Even Morning Joe?
Saying, without any apologies, that I love Joe Biden and Jill, and I will gladly debate anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere over the issue of whether Joe Biden has been the most effective president.
We're leading up to the biggest butt of all time. We've got some Kim Kardashian breaks the internet shit building up.
And passing bipartisan legislation, and expanding NATO, and responding to the rising threat coming from China.
This Twitter clip is about to get a BBL for how big the butt's going to be.
By flexing America's strength around China, by having the strongest economy in the world, bar none, the strongest economy actually relative to the rest of the world in 50, 60, 70 years, the strongest dollar in half a century. The strongest military relative to the rest of the world.
God.
I would
Holy
argue,
shit.
and the others would argue.
We're pumping silicone into those cheeks.
Since 1945, I think his presidency has been an unqualified success. If, however, you believe, as do I, and as do so many people who watch this program and who fear.
This is you guys need to understand like where we are when Morning Joe, when this is Scarsborough, right? Please, I'm barely alive right now. Scarsborough, yeah. When he's leading up to this, I mean, Jesus.
Just how dark of a place a second Donald Trump term will take America. Then I think it's critical that we ask the same questions about this man I love, respect, and
this is how a parent tells their like 4-year-old kid that the dog got run over in the back, like the dog's still out there with a tire tread over its stomach. I mean, like, Jesus Christ, dude.
And whose public service in saving this country from Donald Trump over the last 3.5 years I honor and always will. I think we have to ask the same questions of him that we have asked of Donald Trump since 2016, and that is, if he were CEO and he turned in a performance like that, would any corporation in America, any Fortune 500 corporation in America, keep him on as CEO?
No, asking a liberal to explain like political favor, you know, or a neoliberal. Okay, imagine a board of directors.
If this were Donald Trump, time and time again, we talked about the Goldwater. Where's the Barry Goldwater? To walk over and tell Richard Nixon it was over, to tell Donald Trump.
Comparing it to Nixon, comparing it to the Goldwater Nixon, dude. There are people in the Morning Joe office with a katana buried deep in there. Well, it's not a katana. What's the short? The dagger? It's like a katana but short. That's what they do seppuku with. What is it called? The tanto? They're handing out tantos like gift bags at the Oscars right now. They're giving them to every intern in the office.
It was over. And now the question is, do Democrats need to do the same thing?
Or Wakizashi? Okay, one or the other.
I mean, these are hard questions, but the fact is, friends, failure's just not an option. In 2024, failure is not an option. So who I love, who I respect, who I revere for their work and their duty to service over their lifetime really is not relevant. It's not relevant for any of us. It's not relevant for Democratic leaders. It's not relevant for anyone. The question is, we know Joe Biden can govern. Mm-hmm. And again, I'll debate that issue with anyone, and I will win. I will destroy anybody that wants to debate Joe Biden's record over the past 3.5 years. He can run the White House. He can run the country effectively, despite the barrage of lies that constantly come at him, like Donald Trump's lies last night. But can he run for president in 2024?
For somebody whose job is as tied to glazing Joe Biden as this man, they asking these questions, like genuinely, it's more over than I could have even imagined. Like it's impossibly over. It's incomparably over. It's difficult to even describe. Joe Biden watches this program, man.
Donald Trump lied over and over and over and over again. And Joe Biden couldn't respond to any of those.
Nope, he couldn't, because that's his job. Coping liberals are like, well, Trump lied constantly. You really think stuttering and being old is worse than lying? If you can't call out the lies, then yes, that's your job. It's politics. You're not a office administrator. You're a politician. They forget. No wonder, like, the Democratic Party is so allergic to populism, they actually forget that being popular is the job of the president. Oh, well, he does a better job administrating. That doesn't mean anything if he loses. He's the head of state, dude.
I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong.
That's great, man. Hey, I might be like unelectably ancient and incapable of communicating, but at least I'm not, you know, a liar like that much more charismatic man who was to my right.
And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done.
I can't do this, man. They're doing the second debate? Yeah, they're doing the second debate. They're doing the second debate. What is this? What are these clips? Get me out of here.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Why?
This is... I can't, man. You did such a good job, Joe. You did such a good job. Me, when I get my drawing put on the fridge, yeah. God damn it, man. We just have a lineup of like everyone saying that it's over. Van Jones.
That was painful. I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all. He did not do well at all. And
always astonished whenever I see this man, how handsome he is. Just a little side note there, but you know.
You know, I'll give you the analysis. You know, you kind of have the old man versus the con man. I can walk you through how I'm supposed to see it and say it, but I just want to speak from my heart. I love that guy. as a good man. He loves his country. He's doing the best that he can. But he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our convention, and there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that.
Dude, everyone, literally everyone. I thought it was just going to be like the lefties, dude. Nate Silver? Joe Biden should drop out. Nate Silver? I assumed even after the debate that it was just going to be like the lefties saying, yeah, he should have dropped out. He should still drop out. To be fair, Nate has been making that point for a while. Okay, in fairness, has he? Because I haven't kept up with him since the big kerfuffle, you know? He's been saying this for years. Okay. All right, then he's being consistent here. Okay. Can't keep up with everyone. Ezra Klein saying resign. Man, after that debate, the risk of Biden is clear.
Didn't run. And when you get these moments in history, sometimes it's the first lady who has to tell her husband the time's up, meaning Harry Truman didn't run in 1952. The Korean War was going on and said, look, we're not running. Adlai Stevenson ran because we're got to take.
Are we ready for a Newsom ticket? I'm genuinely not kidding. This is not a joke. I'm not trying to be like facetious. I genuinely think some kind of like last second dark horse Gavin Newsom bid for the presidency would actually be more likely to win over Trump than Joe Biden on November 5th. I'm not even joking. I feel like Gavin Newsom probably has the sauce in him. I hate the man, but he's tall, handsome, charismatic, and he's got energy. He's got a lot of energy. If he jumped on in there, I really don't want Gavin, but he's presidential. Oh, he's presidential derogatory. Yeah, he's presidential slur. Yeah, I hate Gavin Newsom.
Take care of the war, and we'll go back to independence. Lyndon Johnson, March of '68, Vietnam War, but mainly Johnson's heart was bad, health issues. Lady Bird told Lyndon, we're going back to Texas. It would have to be Jill Biden who told Joe, let's step down and let Kamala Harris be president, meaning in real time, and then get a new vice president, and then open it up in August and see who the nominees will be. Short of that, the Democrats better just get used to this being who Biden is. I mean, this isn't the Joe Biden of 2 years ago. He is diminished, but I don't think his policy chops are diminished. I don't think his thinking is warped. I think there's a great sanity to him, and I can see why many and most Democrats are going to stick to him. But we'd be lying if we said any young person watching last night got excited for the election or for Joe Biden. Like suddenly we're going to vote Biden signs on our lawn and go Joe, go. That isn't happening.
There's no sauce is what he's saying basically. Oh yeah, for if you want a comparison, here's Gavin Newsom.
You were out there getting a chorus of questions about whether Biden should step down. There is panic that has set in. There is panic that has set in among people who have watched this debate, who are Democrats, people who are strategists, and some even inside Democratic campaigns. Yeah. Do you think it's unfounded?
Well, I think it's unhelpful, and I think it's unnecessary. We've got to go in and got to keep our heads high. And as I say, we've got to have the back of this president. You don't turn your back because of one performance. What kind of party does that? It's been a masterclass. 15.6 million jobs. That's 8 times more than the last 3 Republican presidents combined. The only thing the last 3 Republican presidents have in common is recessions. Democrats delivered.
See, like this, the energy. No, he's taking the right approach. If he wants to replace Biden, he needs to compliment Biden. He can't get in there by being like, yeah, Biden is a disaster, a train wreck. He needs to go in there and like graciously say, yeah, I'm stepping in here. Like because he wants to be president. He wants to be president so bad. He's got the sauce, you know? He's incredibly charismatic, like in a way that we haven't seen in a long time. Not since Obama, I guess, in the presidency.
This president has delivered. We need to deliver for him at this moment. With
yes,
all due
this
respect,
is California's
the more
governor.
time we start having these conversations, go down these rabbit holes, it's unhelpful to our democracy, our fate and future of this country, the world. They need us right now.
I don't know him. Why do you hate him? Because he has actively made California worse in an effort to like make way for a future presidential. He has shut down progressive legislation that's come out of the the California legislator, in all likelihood, he didn't admit this, obviously, but in all likelihood, against the will of the people, because he wants to come across as more moderate and he doesn't want to open himself up to attacks from the right if he runs for the presidency. Yeah, he's done horrific shit on homelessness. He's not a good man at all. How could any governor of California be kind to homeless people? So a perfect president? Exactly. Exactly. Oh, John Fetterman approves of Joe Biden's performance. That's like a rousing endorsement here. That's nice. That's cool. Dave Wasserman, reiterating the point that Joe Biden shouldn't be up there. Nicholas Kristof, President Biden, I've seen enough. President Biden is a good man. However, I hope he withdraws from the race. Literally everyone, dude. It's nice being in a position where my like populist anti-DNC sentiment is being mirrored by not only well-meaning liberals, but some liberals I really don't like very much. Some liberals who I don't think are well-meaning personally, you know? It's crazy that things have gotten that bad. Kamala Harris cope. Oh yeah, let's get a reminder of how sauceless the entire presidential lineup is. Primary and vice.
The president's performance tonight clearly was disappointing for his supporters. CNN is reporting Democratic lawmakers watching the debate were worried about the president's performance. One said it was a disaster. Another called it a train wreck. Those are Democrats especially worried that Biden did not punch back on Trump's lies.
Listen, people can debate on style points, but ultimately this election and who is the president of the United States has to be about substance. And the contrast is clear. Look at what happened during the course of the debate. Donald Trump lied over and over and over again, as he is wont to do. He would not.
Listen up, you infant, you child. You might think that running for the presidency might involve charisma, popularity, the ability to make your point, the ability to speak at all. And you'd be wrong, okay? In actuality, politics is about weedily neoliberal, means-tested bullshit that you do behind the scenes and then brag about. Politics is about, like, Pell Grants, you know? Politics is about tax rebates. Politics is about memorizing numbers that you can repeat to... An important message from the Democratic National Committee after last night's presidential debate. If we're going to defeat Donald Trump and elect Democrats up and down the ballot, we all have an important role to play, especially today. Because as you read this, Trump is hammering Joe Biden in swing states with his first ads of the general election. This not only impacts their race, but down-ballot races in those key states. The Democratic Party needs your help to fight back. Please make this donation. Okay.
Not disavow what happened on January 6th. He would not give a clear answer on whether he would stand by the election results this November. He went back and forth about where he stands on one of the most critical issues of freedom in America, which is the right of a woman to make decisions about their own body.
The right of a woman.
He has been completely ambiguous.
I know, by the way, that we've had our standards shifted a little bit, but keep in mind Kamala Harris is, in a political context, a young woman who was a DA for years and years. Why does she sound like this?
And all over the place about where he stands on that issue, despite the fact that he hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and that's exactly what they did. And just 3 years ago, we commemorated the 2-year anniversary of Dobbs, wherein women across our country have been denied emergency health care,
All that may be true. All that may be true. But the president of the United States was not able to make that case to Donald Trump on the stage tonight. I mean, you debated against then Vice President Vice President Biden 4 years ago, and he was a very different person on the stage 4 years ago when you debated him. You must, I mean, that's certainly true, is it not?
Anderson,
is this a joke? Are you like an anime character who got asked a difficult question?
I mean, that's certainly true, is it not?
Anderson, the point has to be performance in terms of what a president does. President who
this is exactly what I mean about the DNC being responsible for this. It's not just incompetence, it's that ideologically the arrogant motherfuckers in the DNC do not believe that popular appeal is an important component of running a presidential candidate. They don't factor it in. It's not a part of their plan. What the people want, what's popular, none of it matters. They're arrogant enough to think that they're the only adults in the room. They're the only ones who have forgotten what politics is about. Politics is about blood and tears. That's all it's ever been about. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you are. What matters is how you sell yourself. If you get a president who is simultaneously capable of running the nation well and delivering on that, presenting that case to the public, you have a good candidate. Congratulations. Donald Trump can present his case. His case is evil, but he can present it. People resonate with it, but now the DNC doesn't even understand. They don't even understand now. They've completely forgotten like what democracy is about. They think democracy to the Democrats, the voters are an inconvenient procedural mechanism that one must navigate in order to attain power. Republicans understand that the screeching, spit-flecked masses, the angry, lunatic, zealous, proto-fascist masses are the bedrock of their power, and they act like it. They're constantly making appeals to that base, to that energy. The Democrats? No. To the Democrats, the voters are an occasional source of fundraising, with your whingy little emails about how the Republicans are doing a thing that everyone knew they were going to do and you failed to prevent. And like a procedural mechanism to get power. Like they're not actually where the power comes from. To the Democrats.
Fights an insurrection against the Capitol. No, but I got the point that you're making about a 1.5 hour debate tonight. I'm talking about
what the did you just what did you just say, lady?
Insurrection against the Capitol. No, but I got the point that you're making about a 1.5 hour debate tonight.
Are you like it? We're going to get a tell-all book from White House staffers and officials about how she was always on a cocktail of drugs. Why does she talk like this? She didn't talk like this before. I remember her performance back in the 2020 primary debates. She didn't used to talk like this. It's insane.
I'm talking about 3.5 years of performance in work that has been historic.
But
whether
is that
it be
the man who we saw on the stage tonight, is that the person you see in meetings every day?
The person that you saw on the debate stage that has, for the last 3.5 years, up until today, performed in a way that has been about, whether it be in the Oval Office, negotiating bipartisan deals, so that we have an infrastructure, a real infrastructure plan where we're putting trillions of dollars on the streets of America to upgrade our infrastructure. Whether it be the person I see in the Oval Office who is meeting with heads of the military and the intelligence community and in the Situation Room, ensuring the safety of America. The person I see in Joe Biden on the world.
What is she saying? Nothing. You all recognize she's not saying anything, right? The Democrats must really think little of us to put these two forward. I understand Kamala Harris might be a special case because it genuinely seems like something happened to her in between the primaries and now. Like she actually did develop some kind of drug addiction. I have no idea, like genuinely, I don't know. It's politics, whatever. With Joe Biden, like they knew what they were getting into with regards to his age. And by the way, for every like embarrassing, debilitating little misspeak we see in public, there's 500,000 in private, right? Like Joe Biden's the president. Man's constantly meeting with officials, foreign advisors, staffers, diplomats, bureaucrats, lobbyists. And like he talks to a lot of people. The fact that he's debilitated is not like a broad secret, and they have been concealing that from us to a large extent. I fully believe that, because of course they would. You think the DNC is going to come out and be like, oh yeah, just to let you guys know, with every passing day, he becomes more incoherent and incapable of making points. No, of course they're not going to say that. Why would they? Why would they do that?
Stage, convening world leaders who often ask for his advice. Most recently, just during the G7 conference. So I'm not going to spend all night with you talking about the last 90 minutes.
Well, she can't even defend him. She can't even defend him. Like, that's how bad it is. You know who did defend him? Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom said, yeah, it was a bad performance, but let's understand what the stakes are here and how good he's done during his presidency. Gavin Newsom has charisma. She's just like, this didn't matter, man. Look at other stuff. Like, no way of threading it through.
Been watching the last 3.5 years of performance.
But this was a debate that your campaign wanted. You pushed for this debate at this moment. Obviously, I mean, you can't honestly say I mean, can you say that you are not concerned at all, having watched the president's performance tonight?
It was a slow start. That's obvious to everyone. I'm not going to debate that point. I'm talking about the choice in November. I'm talking about one of the most important elections.
They hate you. They hate you, man. They want you dead. They don't care. You're an inconvenient little mechanism. You're just like a little cog in a big machine that they can poke at to like occasionally get the power that they need to, you know, justify the $60,000 a plate New York fundraising dinners that they all love attending, you know? That's it. You're just a number, man. They don't respect you at all. They can't even admit it's a problem. They can't even meet you eye to eye.
In our collective lifetime. And do we want to look at what November will bring and go on a course for America that is about a destruction of democracy, electing a man who has said he'll be a dictator on day one? Or do we want to continue on a course that's about strengthening America's economy?
This warbling, whiny, wine mom voice.
Building and creating 15 million American jobs, over 800,000 manufacturing jobs. I got that this is the afterplay for the debate, this conversation that I'm in, and I understand why everyone wants to talk about it, but I think it's also important to recognize that the choice in November between these two people that were on the debate stage involves extraordinary stakes. And there's one person on that stage who has the endorsement of their vice president. And that's Joe Biden. Mike Pence is nowhere to be found in supporting Donald Trump, and that's why he has to look for. That's why he has to look for someone else to run.
Dude, I'm running out of synonyms here, man. Like, this is. Look at her face. Look at her face. Look at her face.
Joe Biden. Mike Pence is nowhere to be found in supporting Donald Trump, and that's why he has to look for. That's why he has to look for someone else to run with him, who, as we know, will embolden and rubber stamp whatever he wants, because they're going to have to make a choice to not be Mike Pence and to put Donald Trump over their country.
No, I don't.
How did you perform tonight?
I think we did well.
Do you have any concerns about your performance?
No, it's hard to debate a liar.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do?
How's the Biden campaign and surrogates reacting this morning?
Great,
I mean, they're making it pretty clear, it sounds like he's not dropping out.
They are absolutely maintaining that he is going to stay in the race. Not only that, but that he is committed to still attending and debating in September. But what they also acknowledge is that it was a lackluster performance by the president.
Are they acknowledging that? Are they? Who's acknowledging that? Are they? Are they doing that?
At a critical juncture. This is something, this comes at a time where voters have repeatedly expressed concern about his age, and they wanted a forceful performance. He spent days in Camp David preparing for this. But now, given the performance that we saw last night,
yeah, somebody pointed out that for comparison's sake, we should listen to Bernie Sanders talk. This is from him yesterday. Oh, wait, the audio is terrible, so it's hard to say. That was me, Vosh. That was you. Leftist audio. Here, wait, hold on. 4 days ago.
The need to raise the minimum wage to a living wage is something that's catching on all over the country. To the best of my knowledge, every single state ballot item, and there have been over 10 that have called for raising the minimum wage, have won. I hope it wins in Ohio as well. Second, to answer your second question.
And yeah, as they say.
Look, I think what we are seeing in America today, and most workers understand it, is an economy in which the people on top, the wealthiest people, are doing phenomenally well. Never done better. We have
he genuinely, if it was a three-man race between Trump, Biden, and Bernie, Bernie would have crushed both of them. Like, absolute, just would have annihilated the two of them, you know? You know, whinging, narcissistic fascist and a man with one foot in the grave, both getting absolutely gigamogged by a guy who has, to his credit, been repeating the same talking points basically unchanged for his entire life.
More income and wealth inequality today in America than we've ever had, while at the same time 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and you got some 600,000 people sleeping out on the street. People can't afford housing, healthcare system is broken, etc. So I think for...
Oh man, dude. When the mandatory Barack Obama tweet drops and it opens with "bad debate nights happen," when neither Kamala Harris nor Joe Biden himself can acknowledge it's a bad debate, it feels like the messaging is so inconsistent. Dude, it's like the SpongeBob, all the SpongeBobs in the brain running around with the cabinets on fire, like over in the DNC. The selection still a choice between blah, 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 blah. Man, we forgot his name. Don't forget Obama lost his first debate against Romney. Romney's a decently charismatic guy, but Obama didn't, like, it's not even comparable, man. Not like this. Ryan Grimm floats Obama becoming Biden's VP. That would be pretty funny. It's not going to happen, but it'd be pretty funny. The actual solution is for Dems to make Obama Biden's running mate. That would be a very funny timeline to enter into. It's not going to be the one we do enter into, but it would be pretty funny. I've worked on campaigns with the DCCC, and they're just as out of touch as the DNC. They really think that staying the course will work. Yeah, I know. I know. Is that even allowed? Yes. Would RFK be better than Trump? Yes.
I think Governor Romney maybe hasn't spent enough time looking at how our military works. You mentioned the Navy, for example, and that we have fewer ships than we did in 1916. Well, Governor, we also have fewer horses and bayonets, because the nature of our military has changed. We have these things called aircraft carriers where planes land on them. We have these ships that go underwater, nuclear submarines. And so the question is not a game of battleship where we're counting ships. It's what are our capabilities? And so when I sit down with the Secretary of the Navy.
Was this the first debate? Was this the losing debate? Or was this the second or third one? This was not the first? Okay, yeah. Like, there's no comparison to how Biden performed, man.
The president and former president making their way off the CNN debate stage. Looks like Jill Biden, the first lady, has come out.
Look at this shit.
Look at what Trump did in Ukraine. This guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want.
This is, yeah, remember, just never forget what last night was like, man. Don't forget, man. I dressed up for this shit. They could have just not done the debates. What in the f were they thinking? They weren't thinking, man. Also, they hate us. They despise us. Where's the video? Find me the video. Where's the video of Joe Biden? Here we go. This is how he competently announces that he's ready for the debate.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
5 cuts in a 13-second video announcing that he's ready to do a debate. That was take 47. Yeah, they had to stitch this together from like 6 days of, you can actually see his ties change between the cuts. No, it's not true.
Showing up for debate.
It'd be funny if it was, though. This is 5 years old, but look at Jimmy Carter giving an interview at 93.
Let's do it ourselves. Now, any married couple that's been together for as long as you have, when they do a project together, I mean, is this smooth sailing with the two of you? How's it go, Mr. President?
Not always. Not even on a habitat site. We've been married now, as you know, a little over 72 years, and so we've learned to accommodate one another and to iron out those differences.
Measure twice and cut once.
He actually does seem more lucid than Joe Biden does now, yeah. That's the power of the peanut farm, yeah. Here's Politico covering the DNC staffers reacting to the debate. They were panicking with memes internally. I picked the wrong day to stop sniffing glue, said a Democratic House member. I'm on a lot of chains of people gaming out how Biden withdraws. Need open convention. He has to go. Who are the grandees who could tell Biden to go? Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Al Gore, Nancy Pelosi, Jim Clyburn, a former senior Obama official wrote. I think there are short lists being made. Whitmer, Beshear, Cooper, Newsom, a Democratic operative said. A Clinton alum sent a train wreck gif. Man, one of the most tone-deaf things that I saw was after the debate, presumably because it had already been planned out in advance. But Joe Biden put this tweet out. I don't know what they've got in these performance enhancers, but I'm feeling pretty jacked up. And it's like a can of water. I really don't think you should be putting this out after you delivered perhaps the most embarrassing performance of any presidential debate. Wait, this is real? Yeah, it's real. Like, because they already had this plan beforehand, and the bit was going to be like, yeah, I did so good, and everyone's saying they got me up on adrenochrome, but the secret is I drink water. And it's like, first of all, we know his drink of choice is orange Gatorade. Second, like, don't lie to me. I know the lore. Second of all, this is the water that makes you, like, decrepit and crypt-like, I suppose. Wasn't that from the before the debate? Oh, you're right. It was right before 5:34 p.m. My bad. This is 30 minutes before the debate. Maybe should have held that one off then. Jon Stewart's analysis. We can't look at Jon Stewart. Folks, I might not be able to talk anymore, but at least I don't lie. That's great. Yeah, hard to lie if you can't talk. What are the odds Democrats actually want to lose? It's not that they want to lose. It's that they don't understand how politics works. They never have. Liberals don't understand how politics works. Or I guess I should say, past a certain point, the bad tendencies, the anti-democratic tendencies of liberals metastasize into an inability to understand how politics works. Sometimes liberals do understand, but there's like a rot within the ideology that tends to manifest in this way. Look at Macron in France. Look at the Labour Party in the UK. What do you think about the split between the media and the DNC then? What split? Even DNC staffers are freaking out. Holy 25 million fewer people tuned in for this debate than previous years. That's good for Biden. Like I said, no one gives a shit. Everyone knows both the candidates. No one's going to do anything surprising. God damn. Look at that. The last time we had a debate with this few views was the middle one in 2004. The last time we had a first debate with this few views was in 2000. Remember, it was Biden's team who pushed for a debate so early on. Maybe they see Biden getting more and more ancient, like day by day, and they're like, "Shit, we have to get him in early." Are Dems serious about an open convention? Some are. It's just depressing we can't get a good candidate who is coherent. Oh, we can. We could have. The Democrats didn't want us to. They wanted the most establishment guy on stage. They always push the most establishment motherfucker, you know? What is an open convention even? What they're saying is that we should give like the electors within the DNC the ability to select a presidential candidate who isn't Biden. The convention hasn't happened. Technically, the Democrats haven't selected Joe Biden as their presidential candidate. Like, they will, but, you know, there's a whole procedure to this crap. How likely do you think it is that Biden drops out 2%? I don't know, 0.1%? Isn't this anti-democratic? The DNC? Anti-democratic? All the primary votes, just you all know all the primary votes that have been happening across the country, none of those are official, right? None of those are sanctioned or like a component of the official mechanisms of the United States government. Only the general election is. All these primaries, the rules for them, the way they're handled, when they're held, those are all set out by the parties. When you vote in a local primary, like you're interacting with a corporation, not the government. So technically they can do whatever they want? Yeah, pretty much. Are there even primaries in other countries besides the US? Yes, but we have a particularly wacky system. Times like these made me wish that I care less about politics. Well, we suffer the consequences either way. God, they were so proud of this one. I don't know what you did last night, but I spent 90 minutes debating a guy with the morals of an alley cat. I feel like it's really indicative of the state of the Democrats and like their messaging, where they're up against an openly insurrectionist fascist who is pledging to be a dictator, and the like gotcha they're going with is some like, you know, early 20th century like, oh, you're an adulterer, you're a womanizer. What do you mean, morals of an alley cat? What are you talking about? You're a big meanie. Vosh, has a party ever pulled a candidate this far into a race? I actually don't know. The incumbent nonetheless? I'd be very surprised if that was the case.
I give you my word as a Biden, I would not be running again if I didn't believe with all my heart and soul I can do this job. Because quite frankly, the stakes are too high. The stakes are too high.
The stakes are too high for you to be the man, man.
Donald Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's a threat to our freedom. He's a threat to our democracy. He's literally a threat for everything America stands for. Look.
What kind of people show up for a Joe Biden rally? Not people we need to think about or factor into our political analysis. Are they saying yes you can, like they're encouraging a child? It is strange how much the tone shifts between yes we can, the Obama era slogan, and yes you can, as though they're all like trying to convince themselves that he's physically capable of doing it. They were saying yes you can, right? They weren't saying yes we can. It's kind of hard to tell when it's a crowd chanting. The View has a meltdown.
Most of us are mourning. Mourning, yes. Well, let's not get too depressed yet. Okay. Yes. Because I'm assuming that you all saw last night the debates, right? CNN, and while Biden raised concerns with a hoarse, occasionally weak delivery, Trump lied dozens of times in a nice, clear voice.
Since then, because when I watched that clip that you just played, I thought to myself, where the hell were you, Joe? Where the hell was this Joe Biden?
Respectfully, I actually was so upset about this last night at 1 in the morning. I rewatched Reagan versus Mondale in '84 when Reagan got trounced.
Yeah.
Reagan at his worst was 10 times better than both performances last night.
Life is not going to be a watch party.
The View is fallen, but I don't want to watch these ladies. One small hope is that Trump's black jobs line loses him a lot of black votes. Black people are already voting for Biden. To clarify, states with open primaries do not have primaries managed by private corporations. They're strictly speaking enshrined law. Alaska, for example, is one of the most recent to ditch partisan primaries. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good clarification. Yeah, the difference between the open primary, where it's sort of facilitated by the state, and the closed primary, where it's entirely like an internal matter. Yeah, good clarifying. I mean, it doesn't like detract from the broader point, but yeah, still. I'm in California. Does my vote for Biden make any difference, though? Yes, do it anyway. Also, like, there's all the down ballot races, you know? How will the DNC go about blaming Biden losing on us if it's this bad, even with the liberals? Oh, if Biden loses, there's going to be a bunch of op-eds from people blaming the left for, like, being divisive on Israel and Gaza, you know? The student protesters are going to get foisted with the blame. You know, we'll get it. We'll get the classic, yeah. You're going to have some, like, Labor Party-esque meandering where some higher-ups in the Democrats are like, maybe we were too aggressive in defending trans people, you know? Like, maybe we could have, you know, dialed down the progressivism on that and alienated fewer, you know, conservative or moderate voters. I'm ready for all of it. I'm ready for it, you know? We're on the wheel, man. The scary thing is I can see that happening. Well, yeah, because they've done that shit before. They did it when Hillary lost. They'll go from saying nobody cares about Palestine to the only reason they lost because of lefties in Palestine. Yep, 100%. Yep, 100%. Absolutely. The like instant shift from, you know, oh, the voters aren't concerned either way to, well, how dare the left, like, you know, mobilize people's concerns on this and get Biden to lose. Trump didn't even talk about trans people at all. Yeah, that's because trans people are a losing issue electorally for Republicans. Most Americans, like, just don't hate trans people, and, like, they don't get, it's just not working. Immigration, though, that's real. Yeah, we need to get it to RFK. It's crazy how it always comes down to immigration, like the general public are so Hitlerite. Yeah, because the Democrats never do anything to push back on it. When was the last time you saw Biden or any major Democratic official, like, meaningfully addressing the anxieties of the nation concerning immigration while also directing them in a different way? When was the last time you saw a Democrat say, yeah, you know, we do have trouble at our border and that's something we need to address. I think that we need to be, you know, invest more in border security, but at the same time, we have to acknowledge the fact that Republicans fearmonger over this constantly with no data whatsoever to back up their fears. They don't do that. They only do one or the other. They either say it's not a problem, or they say, like, yeah, you know, we're actually going to be more harsh on the border than Donald Trump would. You know, they never actually address it properly. One of the things people are saying right now is you're not just voting for a president, you're voting for their cabinet. Well, yeah, of course. I had to ban some people in the subreddit because every time anything happens, the people in Voshvi are the most insufferable motherfuckers in my community. Every time anything happens, they feel the need to get in a, like, little drum circle and chant about how they're not like other leftists. Oh, we're not going to doomer today. We're not going to X today. Like, remember, guys, here's the message. Here's what we're doing. Shut the fuck up. Who do you think you are? Me? You don't have this sauce. Just post. The point is to post. That's what social media is for. None of you people have posting game. You're posting, like, decrepit Facebook boomer like resistance lib memes in the best of days. And otherwise you're arguing. A bunch of people in there were saying I was doomering because they have no idea what doomering means. I saw people in the YouTube chat before I started stream saying I was doomering. Doomering doesn't mean you acknowledge when things are bad. Doomering is when you get apathetic or you get so overwhelmed by negativity that you stop doing anything or, like, processing. It's like, that's doomering. It's like rotting, you know? not being like, not acknowledging negativity or being realistic about it. Vosh, lots of people I know IRL don't care about the bad debate performance and still prefer Biden over Trump. It seems like the insane Biden doomerism is limited to the internet. Are you kidding me? People you know IRL, your friend group who are already pro-Biden, haven't had their mind changed? Wow, crazy. That's how data works. You think it's an always online thing? We've been looking at... We literally just went over a collage of media pundits on the left, CNN, MSNBC, Morning Joe, talking about how Joe Biden should drop out. Kamala Harris was interviewed on it. Like, Joe Biden is tweeting about it in a conciliatory sense. Anderson Cooper. Everyone's talking about it. We have inside knowledge that the DNC staffers and campaigners and what have you are freaking out. What do you mean, always online? Are you insane? You're just saying shit. You people just say stuff. You come on here, you just say stuff. You have no idea. I don't know what gets this out of you. I was gonna give him a tier 4 sub, but Vosh banned too quickly. I don't want, listen, okay, I am not, in this respect at least, Adolf Hitler. I don't want to fight on two fronts, okay? If I'm criticizing the DNC, I don't want delusional people in my chat being like, actually, I think you're being doomer and overstating the case. I think that Joe Biden did better than people think. I'm not engaging with that bullshit, okay? I am not interested in having every criticism of the DNC undercut by dipshits in chat who are liberals and are here because they think that I'm on their side. Like, I'm here because I am forced to be here, okay? I don't get what I want. I'm a leftist. I'm just a leftist who's smart enough to understand that Biden winning is better than Trump. That does not mean that we're of one mind on this. Give me that negativity. I want it.
Joining us now, Eugene Daniels, Politico White House correspondent and MSNBC political contributor, and Nick Kristof, columnist for The New York Times. It's good to have both of you here. Nick, I've known you, I've read you for a very long time. I know you don't take your position or your influence lightly. You could have said, let's take a breath. Let's see what the polls show. Let's see how Joe Biden does in the coming weeks. You didn't. So tell us more about your argument and your decision to make it now.
Sure. I mean, and I wrote that with a heavy heart. I've known and admired Biden for many years, and I think he had a great first term. But, you know, he made the point himself today, just now in North Carolina, that that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, that the stakes are enormous in this election. And given that argument, which I think is completely right, then I think we need to do everything possible to ensure that Trump does not win. And, you know, look, I think Trump already arguably had an edge before the debate. I think that debate is, you know, raised an awful lot of questions in the minds of a tremendous number of centrist voters.
That's
and,
great.
You know, is it possible that the North Carolina Biden will reappear steadily every time between now and November? Yes. But it's also possible that the debate Biden will appear periodically, and we don't have the chance.
I think people, if anything, are understating how bad Biden was. Not only did he not hold Trump to anything, not only could he barely make his points, not only was he murmuring and whispering and misspeaking constantly, but he always had his mouth open. He looked dead up there. Like, I genuinely think that people are understating the extent to which he looked horrible.
After the convention to choose a nominee
he looked lost.
A stronger candidate. So I think the time is now. I think we have better nominees who are more likely to keep Trump out of the White House, and to me, that's paramount.
Who are they, Nick? And how do you see this potentially playing out?
The only way that it would work is if President Biden himself decided to bow out of the race. I think that, you know, Democrats are going to be reluctant to urge Biden out for fear of harming him if he stays in. It's easy for columnists to do that. It's a lot harder if you're a Democratic office holder.
Someone needs to have the conversation with him, man. We can't emperor has no clothes our way into a Trump presidency.
If Biden were to bow out and throw it to an open convention, then that could proceed. It would create, I think, some risks of chaos. It would also create perhaps some excitement about who would take over.
It would be the most exciting thing to happen in politics in decades, without a doubt. Are you kidding me? In the run up to this election, the incumbent president putting his hands up and saying, "Nah, I'm going to throw it to an open convention. I'm out." Like, that would be insane. That would be like global, that would be hyper television. That would be phenomenal. That'd be the MASH finale.
Nomination, and I think there's actually a pretty decent bench in the Democratic Party. Gretchen Whitmer is somebody who I think would help win Michigan, and Michigan is a pretty crucial state the Democrats have to win. So she might be on the top of my list, but I think Pete Buttigieg is a very impressive guy. Gavin Newsom is impressive. Gina Raimondo. I think there are a bunch of strong folks, but maybe Gretchen Whitmer would be right at the top of my list.
Eugene,
it'd be a guaranteed win for Dems. I'm adjusting my position. I don't think it'd be a guaranteed win, but I do think the odds of an open convention producing a victory are greater than the odds of Biden winning on his own. I genuinely think that we're in a position that's so bad that kind of last-second Hail Mary and getting somebody like Buttigieg or Gretchen or Newsom or whatever would actually be like significantly better,
New reporting, I know that you spoke to about a dozen Democrats about Biden's performance last night. One of them said Biden is toast. Another said time for an open convention. But we live in a 15-minute campaign cycle, right? And we know that there were concerns before this about...
The pledged delegates are an issue. Whatever. They can throw their votes where they want. There are ways to get around that, Like, it's an issue, but, like, we got to do something, man.
Biden's age. But did this escalate to, as David Plouffe said on our air last night, a DEFCON 1?
Yeah, people weren't surprised, right? But they were shocked, right? This is an extreme case of something that folks have seen off and on for years, right? You have a president who, at best, in some of these performances, has been kind of inconsistent, right? One day, as we saw today, he's on fire at the State of the Union. He's going back and forth and negotiating with members of Congress in real time.
An open Dem convention would get a lot of media coverage, could maybe drown out conservative coverage for a while. Yeah, that would be a huge benefit to it. It would be like a solid month on end of nonstop 24/7 media coverage of the Democrats. You would have like every mother on the backbench coming up there, like giving their spiel and talking about the threat Donald Trump presents. You would have the ability to energize a bunch of people. Like, yeah, will the new guy be a Zionist? Yes, no matter what.
And then he'll do a speech and or an interview, can't really hear what he's saying, those kinds of things. But last night was the worst case scenario for Democrats, right? You had a Biden campaign who chose, it's important for people to remember, they chose this early debate. They wanted to focus the American people on the choice in November, get people to pay attention earlier than they do, because typically they would do this after both of these men are already officially the nominees of the party. Replacing them is much, much harder. The American people are paying a lot more attention, but they chose to do the June 27th debate. So this is their issue that they created, and it was a bet that failed kind of miserably. And when you talk to Democrats, that inconsistency from Joe Biden has been a concern for a long time. And I will say, to the question, the biggest question is, how would this happen? Unless Democrats are able to convince two people, Jill Biden and and President Biden's sister Valerie Biden Owens, to go to him and tell him that he has to step aside, it's almost impossible for it to actually happen. Those are the people that he listens to the most.
If anybody could convince him to drop out and cede to an open convention, they would be like the hero of the American people. Like the Soviet. Hero of the Soviet Union star for this individual. Please, God. Obama, make the call, man.
Those are the people that helped him make the big decision on actually running in 2020. If you can't convince them to convince him, it's not changing. And so kind of the wish casting that's happening at this point in the Democratic Party, it seems unlikely. And it's also just going to make it more difficult to beat Donald Trump as they get closer, because it makes him look weak and it makes him look like he doesn't have the support of his party.
Critically important time, critically important conversation. I heartily urge people to read both what Eugene and Nick have written.
Man, saw it the first time you said it, Benjamin.
How real real do you think these calls are for Joe Biden to be replaced?
So I think two things can be true at the same time, right? There's the reality. I like to think of it as the reality of how some Democrats are feeling after seeing that debate performance last night, which was not good, right? He did get progressively better over the course of the debate, but it started low. The bar was low. And then he was a totally different person at the watch party after. And I was watching like, well, where was this Joe Biden on the debate stage? So it's the reality of how some Democrats are feeling. And those are mostly, from what I have gathered, these are elected officials, right, who have, especially House Dems, people who are on the ballot this cycle, operatives who have advised campaigns. And then there's also the reality of the situation. And the reality of the situation is what the campaign is speaking to. The campaign, I asked them directly, I said, is Joe Biden dropping out? I called and they said no. I called up to the convention folks today. I said, are you all prepping for a new nominee? They said, we are not.
But let me ask you this, because you know these folks. And they were obviously concerned enough that at midnight last night, your old boss, the vice president of the United States, came on our air, right? And she acknowledged wasn't
I think, what did she say? It was a slow start, but a strong finish. I heard. I said, oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned the House Dems. I mean,
did you see the Pod Save America guys throw the white flag? What did the Pod Save America guys say? They're like the final, like they're the ultimate, like final, after everything else, the last line of defense, you know?
Biden, people who know him will tell you, genuine patriot, cares about... and
Bosch's collar gap is seductive, woo. I'm not wearing a jacket. What are you talking about? What do any of you people just learn words? You just learn words and then you use them. You're like infants. You have no clue what you're talking about. You just say shit, man. There are consequences to me misspeaking. For you, you can just vanish back into the void.
Actually did run because he cares about the future of the country. Is the Senate imperiled if he stays on the ballot? Is the House imperiled? And maybe are there people...
They mostly said it was a terrible debate and it's valid to consider alternatives ahead of the convention. For the Pod Save America guys to be saying that, Jesus Christ.
Who are involved in that, who are worried about what this means down ballot.
So what I have heard,
it's not just about him, right?
It's not just about him. I heard, look, last night there were House Democrats, particularly frontliners, again, folks who are in some of the most...
Here, can I watch this without, how hard are they on the DMCA
I'm not stepping down, and there's no other Democrats step up. You know, I've seen a lot of the elected Democrats tonight on TV, which understandable. It's like right after the debate say like, no, we're sticking with Joe Biden. That's great. If everyone decides, everyone who could run for president decides that they're not going to run, they don't want to run, Joe Biden's the guy, Joe Biden decides, then like after that convention, of course, we will do everything in our power to elect Joe Biden, 100%. But like the best thing Joe Biden did is to propose this debate before the convention and give us a chance now to like rethink this.
It's I just, if you had told me a week ago that Joe Biden's debate performance would be so bad that the Pod Save America guys would be wheedling about him needing to step aside for an open convention, like that is... I would have assumed you were like unironically a Trumpster and you were you know, seeding disinformation to sow doubt. There's no way Biden would do that badly, right? Pod Save America are libs. They're not libs. They're the libs. They're like Obama staffers, man. They're the liberals.
It is because the threat Donald Trump poses that we have to have this debate right now about whether or not it should be Joe Biden. Do not tell us that because Donald Trump is a threat, we cannot have this conversation. That is ridiculous.
I did not come...
Seriously, they're coping pretty hard too. I mean, yeah, obviously, it's Pod Save America, but they're still laying out that point.
Away from this debate, wondering whether Joe Biden can do the job of president. He can. Yeah. He has been doing it. He's done a great job of doing it. I came away deeply concerned about his ability to wage the campaign he needs to wage to defeat Donald Trump. It's an important distinction.
Yes,
you know what I mean? This is about what it takes to run a campaign, which is really, really hard.
President is a much harder job. It's a much more important job, but candidate is a different job.
Even them, man.
Vulnerable and competitive districts who are Democrats this cycle. And then the new Dems, they all had their own individual meetings to get together amongst themselves to figure out what they would like to say to the campaign and what they think to talk.
So this was a big enough deal. The
debate performance was, I mean, it was not a good debate performance. And so in a debate where folks are coming in to say, look, you're going to see the contrast between the two candidates. The contrast on the performance side was Joe Biden didn't seem to be there with the performance. Yes, he got better over the course of the night, but the contrast wasn't what folks were expecting, and that's what I heard from Democrats. And so there are House Democrats. You have to remember, for folks at home, every single member of the House of Representatives is up for re-election. Right. Democrats are defending 23 seats this cycle in the United States Senate. There are also 11 governors that will be chosen, new governors, North Carolina being one of them, hence why Joe Biden is in North Carolina today. And in a It's not just Biden either. Lowering voter interest, lowering voter turnout on the left means that Democrats are going to do worse in down ballot races by a lot. If 10 million fewer people vote for Joe Biden, that means that's 10 million fewer people in all likelihood who are showing up to do the down ballot voting. Voters are unmotivated because Biden and Trump are both bad options. Yeah. And this debate's not going to change that. Down ballot Dems are more popular than Biden, though. Yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that in many cases people show up for the presidential vote and then they're like, oh, well, I'm here. And then they vote straight blue down the ticket, you know? Remember, it's all the DNC's fault. It's all the DNC's fault. From Jake Sherman. Had a lot of conversations in the last 7 hours with congressional Democrats. Their sense isn't that this was a bad debate. It is much worse than that. In their view, Biden didn't even clear the lowest bar. They may agree with him on policy, but Biden wasn't even able to articulate what his policies are. For Democrats running down ballot, this is an incredibly serious problem. And then in the comments, of course, you have the kinds of people who follow Jake Sherman, coping liberals. How could Biden articulate policy when he was the only participant calling out the storm of lies from the other candidate? I think that maybe not panicking might be good. Trump didn't tell the truth once last night. Have you had any conversations with the Trump folks about what black jobs are? They get defensive. Any criticism of Biden, and the liberals are like, well, did you know Trump is worse? Like they're doing the meme, you know? Heads in the sand. Did they mention Trump accusing doctors of aborting babies after birth? They literally don't understand the concept of electability or like popular votes or anything. They don't understand. Jake, you were being so fair. Now you reveal your true self. The other guy never answered a question live for 90 minutes. Literally, he didn't even mention Trump. Who do you think could actually win over Trump if Biden does drop out? I've mentioned some people. Watch the whole stream. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell. This is literally like back when Jon Stewart commented on Biden's age in his first episode back in The Daily Show. Yep. These are the worst Democrat voters. They're the same person who went out there and voted for Latimer in New York 16. Wealthy, suburban, or at least upper middle class, usually white Democrats, like arrogant New York liberals who get incredibly touchy. The wine moms, the local political the people who show up at these fundraising dinners, they're obsessed with civility politics. They're contemptuous towards the poor. They're not meaningfully progressive, but they do the like get out thing of priding themselves on thinking they'd vote for Obama for a third term. And these people get incredibly defensive when you say anything critical about the DNC, because it's like the in party that they're a part of. They don't like the idea of that being criticized. They think they're better than you. Yeah, they do. Yes, they do. I want to go over more media reactions.
So let's bring in Donna Brazile, ABC News analyst, former DNC chair. Donna, what do you make of President Biden's performance tonight?
Well, I think there were many missed opportunities. We wanted a couple of doubles, a few singles, and yes, we wanted him to hit it out of the ballpark. But the fact is that I think the president was trying to not only get his message across, which at times he had a hard time, but he was also trying to set a narrative, set a pace, and he never really got an opportunity to reach that point. So I believe
got an opportunity. That's a way of putting it.
If it was a missed opportunity, will it change the trajectory of the race? Perhaps on the margins, but that's why we have 131 days. Many Democrats are disappointed. Some Democrats are telling me, well, look what the other guy did. He didn't hit it out the ballpark. And half of what he said, well, everybody knows tomorrow will be fact check, and we know it was not true. The bottom line is this race is going to continue. There's no effort underway right now that I know of, and I think I would know at least on the third or fourth phone call, there was an effort to replace the nominee. He's still the most experienced person in the race, and I do believe the...
All right, I'm tired of listening to her. I take it back. Should Democrats try to replace Biden? Here's what a top Biden campaign official thinks.
All right, joining me now to discuss is Mitch Landrieu. He is the National Biden campaign co-chair and, of course, the former mayor of New Orleans. Mr. Mayor, good morning to you.
Hey,
I want to start
nice to see
with
you
what... I want to start with what those voters had to say. What do you say to them this morning?
Well, first of all, the president started off slow last night. There's no question about that. And with the two clips that you showed taken out of context, when Joe Biden said, watch me, he said, watch my performance. And nothing that happened last night has changed the fact that Joe Biden passed four of the biggest pieces of legislation that we've seen.
Oh, my God, man.
That created 15 million jobs, the lowest unemployment rate, high wages.
Let's try. Oh, sorry, who linked this? Feel like reacting to this one guy's opinion on the debate, and it's a guy with 18K subs and an hour-long video. No, I don't.
And an economy that's off the charts, and the way that he's going to attack bringing costs down. You will spend the whole day with all of your colleagues talking about the style of the debate last night. But one of the things that is really clear is that last night when Donald Trump was talking, basically everything that he said was a lie, and they were malevolent lies. And I think
that's the line. That's all we're going to get from this. That's all we're getting for this.
Two people on that stage last night. My best bet is in a couple of days, we're going to find out that when the public watches that debate and the media fact checks what Donald Trump said, if he wasn't lying, he was doubling down on the most incredible policies that he has. Like, for example, he doubled down on election denial. He doubled down on how happy he was to reverse Roe versus Wade. Let me finish.
Why didn't President Biden say these things on stage last night? That's my question.
Well, I think he tried to do that, but again, as we sit here and talk about the dog race, about who won the debate or who didn't, the president might have lost the debate on style, but he won it on facts.
Jesus Christ, dude. On style. That's politics, man. DNC hacks are the worst. He has the money to flee the country. You don't. He knows it. Lunatics.
He won it on decency, and he won it on the ideas that people think are important in the country. I don't think that you can color the debate as a great time for President Biden. I think he had a rough time last night. There's no question about it. But throughout the debate, trying to listen to Donald Trump talk was painful for me because there was no fact-checking that went on. And literally, he doubled down on everything that made people think that he was a terrible president the first time he was in office.
Sir, do you feel at all misled by Democrats very close to President Biden who have insisted that there has been no change in this man over the course of the last 2 years that would impact his ability to serve another 4 years?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, I served with President Biden for 2 years, and I saw him on a regular basis. And the Joe Biden that I saw, the Joe Biden that I work with, and the Joe Biden that is still with us today is a guy that gets up every day thinking about how to help other people. He's 81 years old. Donald Trump is 77. So you had a guy last night that was 81 that had a difficult time, and you had a guy that was 77 that lied, and when he spoke the truth, he was speaking malevolent truths. That's the choice that the country has.
Malevolent truths? What the is that? Governor Shapiro's message to Democrats worried about last night.
With us now is the governor of Pennsylvania, Democrat Josh Shapiro, who is here on behalf of the Biden campaign. Governor, always great to see you. I'm going to read you a quote, which I am sure you have either seen or heard maybe a dozen times already this morning. It's from columnist.
Man, it really is crazy how bad it looks to wear a worsted wool business suit and a white dress shirt with no tie, huh? Like, seriously, the outfit looks completely like you're trying to dress it down, but it just looks sloppy. Like, a tie is an essential component of that outfit. Nobody looks better. It's just like a straight downgrade.
Thomas Friedman of the New York Times. The Biden family and political team must gather quickly and have the hardest conversations with the president, a conversation of love and clarity and resolve. We can put this up on the screen, I think, to give America the greatest shot possible of deterring the Trump threat in November. The president has to come forward and declare that he will not be running for re-election. And is
Here's the DFF guys reacting to you post-debate at 5. Why the f would I care what the DFF guys? One of the weirdest parts of streaming is that you obtain like a motley crew of hate, I guess, lingerers, where if you trash somebody, they spend the rest of their life thinking about it. You know what I mean? DFF, like Deep Fat Fried, like Paul. You know? So like I'm now a main character in their lives, and for me it was Tuesday, that kind of thing. Like, what is there to say? Are they like gloating that Biden did super badly? How does that contradict my position that Biden's better than Trump? What's the contradiction? You can tell me, Fatboy99, like what is the like counter position? Like, we can summarize it, I guess. I'll take that seriously.
Releasing all of his delegates for the Democratic National Convention. Your reaction?
Look, I hadn't seen Tom Friedman's column until you read it. Here's the bottom line. Joe Biden had a bad debate night, but Donald Trump was a bad president. And I think what you saw last night was a pathological liar in Donald Trump, who lied about his record, who has dangerous ideas about where he wants to take this country. I'll be the first to admit that that was not a good look in that debate last night, but it doesn't change the fact that there are really stark competing differences in this race.
We're all gonna die, man. Oh, God. They took issue with you saying people should escape this country. That's it? Say keep your passports updated. You know, I don't think I've fired the flare just yet, you know?
And I think what the American people have to do now is make a decision. Do we want to go back to a dark time that Donald Trump promises, where we have less freedom, where the middle class gets screwed, where there's fewer opportunities in our community? Or do we want to try and continue on with high employment, where we want to continue to produce more energy?
Yeah, I don't know. There's no point in watching any of the people who are coping after the debate, because they all have exactly the same line. They're all going to say exactly the same thing, you know? It doesn't matter that Joe Biden can't campaign and can't speak and is dying and is old because his record is better than Trump's and Trump lied. We know Trump lied. That doesn't matter. If Trump lies and he wins the election over it, you don't win in like moral points afterwards, you know? There's no like concession trophy that you get for being the more high-roading individual. Let's say they do replace him. What would the Dems run? I talked about this, you know? Gavin Newsom would be my guy. I don't know. Gretchen. There are a few viable people. Get Pete Buttigieg up there. He's gunning for it. To think we may have found this out earlier if there were Democratic primary debates. Yeah, man, that would have been cool. Man, wouldn't it have been cool if Biden had just accepted that he was going to be a one-term president? I remember. If Biden's elected, a prominent advisor to the campaign said he's going to be 82 years old in 4 years and he won't be running for re-election. I think the DNC are making him run a second term. I don't think it's a conspiracy, man. I just think the Democrats are incredibly arrogant, you know? It's not entirely like to their benefit to be like this. I genuinely think the DNC is just filled with like aging Clintonites and people who don't get outside enough, and they genuinely don't understand the way they come across the rest of the world. And then on the under end, you have like younger campaign managers and staffers who do see and do understand, but they also know that them keeping their careers is kind of like dependent on them following the message. You know, they know that they might get ousted or replaced if they go against it too hard. I don't think it's a big conspiracy. I just think that's like the line. That's the narrative. That's the message, you know? That's how the mafia works, you know? You start as a level 1 campaign staffer, and then you agree with dumb shit, neo-lib, moderate nonsense enough times, and you end up level 100 DNC mob boss. I mean, even then, you'd think that he'd not want to die in office. What's up with old people clinging to power? This is the thing you have to understand about humans, okay? Humans love going up. We love going up more than anything else, okay? That's the reason why in the short span of a few thousand years, we went from like forest Neanderthal dipshit cavemen to running the entire planet, you know? We love going up, okay? Human ambition is an almost impossibly powerful force that it like consumes all plans that resist it, you know? Everything that we build in a democracy, we build to fight against the like ambitions of people who want to extend beyond it. It's very, very difficult, you know? People hate going down. People love going up. The worst example of old people clinging to power despite their age is Dianne Feinstein, who was probably a victim of elder abuse. Yeah. But on the other hand, I did hate her, so... Vosh, you say people, but is literally all white people. Historically, brown people and black people have been known to work with their world and environment, not overcome it. POV, you're a white person who is extremely racist and thinks that brown people are fey. Us encountering Native Americans, they're like wood sprites with like carvings on the back that if you see, they kill you. What are you talking about? This is demonstrably untrue, like in every possible way. Come on. But black and brown people aren't magic. There's no gene that white people have that makes us more ambitious. We just got the steam engine first. Like, it's pretty simple, you know? The Native Americans did a ton of damage to the environment, even with the technology they had. the Aztecs. I mean, you want to go like just the more access to industrial technology you have, the more you do it, you know? Don't do that like noble savage bullshit, okay? Brianna Joy Gray found a way to be wrong. There's a pro-Palestine anti-war option that's on 270 electoral college votes of ballots. That's not a lot, man. Just 270? Only 270? Who are we talking about here? RFK Jr.? Or Cornel West? Jill Stein? Okay, I don't know who we're grifting for at the moment. Trump on stage in Virginia. You want to link that? Here we go.
North Carolina. We all love North Carolina. And this is their 127th rally. And it's hard to believe. I seldom see their husbands. But they're happily married. I said, are you all happily married? They love their husbands. You love your husbands? They put up with a lot, huh?
Paul Zigo says you flipped to his position when you called Biden's rhetoric fascistic. What? Why are you doing the proxy? What are you talking about? Look, I'll summarize this, okay? Paul Zigo's positions were so that people in my community will occasionally message me like referencing it as a ballpark estimate of a low IQ position to argue against. Like it's like an example to be served now. There's nothing here. The depths have been plumbed, okay? The fish in the barrel are dead and they're riddled with bullet holes. There's nothing here. I have no interest in deliberating. Like it's beneath me. Getting into like schoolyard arguments. Remember that time in second grade when Derek said that you stole his pencil but you didn't? No, I don't remember that actually.
No, they're very happily married women, but it's 127. But I'll tell you, front row Joes even have that. They're about 200.
Wow, he took a while to
right?
come on stage here. Holy shit.
They must have made a lot of
No copyright.
That was a big one. But as you saw on television last night, we had a big victory against a man that really is looking to destroy our country. He's the worst. He's the most corrupt, the most incompetent president in the history of our country. And we have to take it back from that party. That's an evil party, despite the fact that crooked Joe Biden spent the entire week at Camp David resting, working, studying. He studied very hard. He studied so hard that he didn't know what the hell he was doing.
You go, Capital.
He got the debate rules that he wanted. He got the date that he wanted. He got the network that he wanted. With the moderates he wanted. No amount of rest or rigging could help him defend his atrocious record. It's not defensible. I don't care who you were. You could be the late, great Clarence Darrow. Has anyone ever heard of Clarence Darrow? He was known as quite a good debater. Not as good as your governor, but that's okay. Hello, Governor. I can't miss this guy in the crowd. But his son's much better looking than him. Joe Biden's problem is not his age. It's not his anything, really. He's got no problem other than it's his competence. He's grossly incompetent. You know, they keep saying old. I know people that are much older than him that are doing unbelievable things, making a fortune. I knew a man that at 79, he was never a success, and he made $1 billion, $1.5 billion from 79 to 92. And that's what it is. It's not his age, it's his competence. He's not respected anywhere in the world. Our country.
Checking my emails. Can we please stop blaming the DNC for everything? I'm answering this one over stream. No.
He is being laughed at all over the world. Biden is using the weaponization of his Justice Department, the FBI, local district attorneys, and attorneys general to try and win an election against his political opponent. That happens to be me. Do you know who I am? Something that actually was unthinkable in our nation, but which is very common in third world countries or in banana republics. That's what he's doing. He's using law enforcement to try and hurt his political opponent. Every one of those things last night, you saw that, was all started by this guy, this crooked guy, And not only crooked.
His cadence is so bad. You're wrong. You're the opposite of correct. His cadence is excellent. He lies, and what he says is nonsense. His cadence is perfect. That's the whole problem. I mean, that's the difference, right? The way he constructs these sentences. He's here. He's present, you know? He's got the flow.
I mean, just so bad in so many ways. He's killing our country. He's incapable of winning based on his far-left policies of open borders, massive tax increases, the Green New Scam. That's a windmill on every corner, most of which don't work. And things like putting men in women's sports, really not a great idea.
See, that's what they care about. It's the difference, right? The trans thing really, like, amps up Republicans, like hardcore Republicans, but it's not good with the moderates at all. So it gets a lot of attention during these debates, it gets a lot of attention at the rallies where everyone there was like super far right, but it doesn't get as much attention on the campaign trail.
Americans saw firsthand last night, this election is a choice between
Oh, these people want me dead? Yes.
strength and weakness, competence and incompetence, peace and prosperity, or war or no war. They like a war. They love wars. You know, they love killing people. It's so wonderful. You know, I'm the only president in many, many decades that didn't start a war. I finished one. I beat ISIS in record time.
This is the guy Biden lost to, by the way.
As soon as I left, we had the situation where Russia went into Ukraine. They would have never done that. And where Israel's attacked. And then we had inflation. And then we had that horrible event that took place in Afghanistan, the worst, I think the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
I'm ready. I'm ready. It's her turn. Last time it wasn't her turn, and this time it is her turn. It's from 2022. Yeah. She's not actually doing it. It's just funny. I take it back, stick with Biden. Yeah.
And it's a choice, though, between a president who puts America first or a train wreck who puts America last. They put America last. Actually, the Democrats put America last. You take a look at that. Look at a guy like Senator Schumer. I've always known him. I've known him a long time. I come from New York. I knew Schumer. He's become a Palestinian. He's a Palestinian now.
Are we gonna keep is this like a continue, like we're just fully so this is Donald Trump outperforming Biden. Biden doesn't stop Netanyahu. Trump will just use Palestinian as a slur. That's incredible.
Congratulations. He was very loyal to Israel and to Jewish people. He's Jewish, but he's become a Palestinian because they have a couple of more votes or something. Nobody's quite figured it out. A vote for Joe Biden is a vote for failure, surrender, and disaster for our country. A vote for your all-time favorite president, President Donald J. Trump. Is a vote for stopping Joe Biden's inflation.
Did you just say Biden's Jewish? Schumer, not Biden.
Stopping the border invasion and very simply making America great again. It will make America great again. You see these beautiful women. I'm not allowed to use the term beautiful as a politician. In fact, it could be the end of my career. If Glenn ever ran against me, he'd say he called women beautiful, and that could be the end of my career. But they're beautiful. What am I going to do? I can't lie. But you see these beautiful women up here? They come from a place called North Carolina. We all love North Carolina. And this is their 127th rally.
Jesus Christ.
And it's hard to believe. I seldom see their husbands. But they're happily married. I said, are you all happily married? They love their husbands. You love your husbands? They put up with a lot, huh? No, they're very happily married women, but it's 127. But I'll tell you, Front Row Joes even have...
Trump's like testing the waters to see if he can any of them. You know, he's waiting to see, like, you're happy with them? And one of them's like, yeah, and he's like, okay. You can come on by after.
They're about 200 and something, right? They must have made a lot of money somewhere along the line. Do my people treat you good? Huh? They better treat you good. Front Row Joes, they become very famous. The question every voter should be asking themselves today is not whether Joe Biden can survive a 90-minute debate performance, but whether America can survive 4 more years of crooked Joe Biden in the White House.
It's so cool that the DNC
In fact,
lost to this guy.
I don't know if we can really survive 5 more months. This is the most dangerous time in the history of our country, in my opinion, and we have a transition period because hopefully there has to be a transition. We've never been so close to World War III before, and if it happens, it will be a war like no other. This because of the threat of certain types of weapons. We don't even want to mention the word, but because of the type of weapons that you're talking about today, and I know them better than anybody. You know, I built our military. I totally rebuilt our military. I know more about weapons than just about anybody. And when you look at the incredible destructive power of these weapons, this will be a war like no other. This will not be 2 army tanks running against each other and shooting. This is going to be something the likes of which we've never seen. And we have a man who's grossly incompetent heading up our nation, and he's competing against Putin and President Xi of China and Kim Jong-un of North Korea. He's competing against people that are at the top of their game, and he was never really at the top of his game. He was
Putin
never
and
very
Kim.
good, but now he's really not good. Last night was a defeat not only for Biden, but for the entire radical left Democrat Party and the fake news media who have been lying to the American people as our country was being destroyed. The fake news media, look at all of them back there. Look at all of them. That's a lot of cameras. That's a lot of cameras. That's a lot of camera power. The Joe Biden on stage yesterday was the same Joe Biden who gave us open borders, crushing inflation, rampant crime, 2 new wars, a disastrous Afghanistan embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, and the international humiliation. Think of it, one after another.
I think that one of the best indicators of where we are and the way in which the dynamic has changed is the fact that, like, I no longer feel any need to correct him when he lies. I'm not interested in it. Everyone knows that he lies. It doesn't matter anymore. This is no longer a question of whether or not he is telling a lie on any individual point. People who support Trump don't really care if he's lying or not. That's not the point. The point is whether or not the other person up there on stage is capable of rebutting it. You all know he's lying. Do I need to waste time? Like, your thoughts right now should not be, wow, Trump is a liar. What a shocker. Known that one for a while. Your thoughts should be, wow, the DNC fielded a candidate so ancient that he couldn't respond to any of this. That should be what you're thinking. You know? It's a goddamn fable. It's the fable with the fucking scorpion. You know? Kind of your fault for not knowing how this goes.
Another international humiliation, one after another. Nobody respects him. Foreign leaders don't respect him. You know, we put up $124 billion more given to Ukraine than Europe. Now, Europe is a lot closer. We have a thing called an ocean in between us, right? So no matter how you cut it, it's got to be more important. Why is it that we're not equalized? Why is it that they put up $124 billion, our people, these people in Washington that don't know what the hell they're doing?
Yeah, 100%, Thana. Cenk would have torn him apart. Cenk would have torn him a new one up there. You know, all you have to do to beat a habitual liar like this is trounce them rhetorically. That's it. That's it. It's that simple. Trump has a good cadence and he's funny, but he's not that fast, you know? Like like Trump looks like he's racing a mile a minute because we put him up against a turtle. You put a moderately competent, rhetorically proficient individual up there, talk over him, be a little bit mean, goad him, make him upset, make him angry, joke about him, laugh at him, say that, oh man, like, look, this guy, like 7 like lies right there, I'll count him off. You didn't do that, you didn't do that, you're coping, you're molding, you're angry. Look at you, you're fat, Donald Trump. You know, lay it in. Call him a pedophile, friend of Epstein, extremely well documented, publicly admitted friend of Epstein. Why does this not come up? Why does this not come up? I'm not joking. The DNC can never win until they're willing to call him a pedophile. It's not like it'd be a lie. We all know he's a pedophile. and a friend of Epstein. It's not a joke.
You know, I stopped it with NATO. We were spending almost 100% of the money for NATO. And I went in my first meeting, I realized, I said, you know, they're not paying their bills. They're delinquent. My second meeting, I said, you got to pay. And they said, well, what would happen if we don't? Then we won't defend you against Russia. And the next day, money came in by the billions. You never saw money come in so fast, Len. The money was pouring in. And I took a lot of heat, Michael. Oh, there's Mike Waltz. He knows better than anybody on this subject. He's the all-time. He's the all-time. But am I right? The money came in like at a level that was never seen. Hundreds of billions of dollars poured in. And then I took heat from the press because they said, no, I will not defend you if you're not current. And they said, well, that's not very nice. I said, it's not nice. Now, if I said I will, they wouldn't have paid, right? I suspect. But I took a lot of heat. But the fact is, the Secretary General called it the greatest. He's never seen anything like it, because Bush would come in, make a speech and leave. Obama would come in, make a speech and leave. And then I came in and I didn't make a speech. I just said, these guys aren't paying their bills. They're not paying their bills. I don't want to make a speech until they pay their bills.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
Maybe Hillary Clinton or even Big Mike. Even Michelle Obama. Sorry, I don't know why I said Big Mike.
Okay. Before and after debate, predicted win percentages for Debate Watcher CNN was polling. Look at that. 45 to 55 went down to 33 to 67.
Bills. But they asked me, will you defend us if we don't pay? I said, no, I will not defend you. We're not stupid anymore. And $400 billion came pouring in. You never saw money pouring in so fast. The whole world should know that while Biden is the worst president in the history of America, our country is going to be strong again, and it's going to be very soon. I want the enemies to know that, because we have a 5-month transition period, and I want the enemies to know, don't play around with us during this 5-month period. Don't play around. It's only for them. It's also from, in all fairness, we have enemies on the outside. China, Russia, North Korea, enemies. But they're not really enemies if you have a smart president. If you have a smart president, they're not enemies. You'll make them do great. We had no problems. China paid us hundreds of billions of dollars. And it was so because they respected our country. Thank you very much. He said, they respected you. Thank you. Stand up, please. Who said that? Stand up. Because they respected us. You said it better than I could. Thank you. I plagiarized. Thank you. No, they respected us. There was no games. But we have the enemy on the outside, and you can do great things with them. And then we have a worse enemy. I call it the enemy from within. These are the sick people, the socialists. Remember I said, America will never be a socialist country. I was right. I was right. It skipped over socialism, went directly into fascism and communism. It never stopped at the station called socialism. It went worse. And that's a big problem that we have, but I think you're starting to see the end of that. And it's been starting for a while now with us, but I think last night was a big moment for people with common sense that want to see America be great again, want to put America first.
He can just say anything, huh? Yes, he can. Whatever, man.